The power of the hero's journey in your spiritual business, in your business, and in your spiritual life. My name is Eileen Burns. I'm a healer, coach, and therapist, and I help healers and light workers live more of their soul mission, their soul purpose, and to create and attract, a more soul-aligned business into their life. Now, in today's session, I'm going to talk about the hero archetype and the power of the hero archetype in a spiritual business, in a heart-based business, and a soul-aligned business, and how the hero's journey is so important for us to access right now with what is going on in the collective. So let's look at a bit more about the hero archetype and what the hero archetype represents. For this session, I'm going to use Caroline Mrs. deck, and I'm just going to show you the hero card. And if we look at the hero in the light aspect, you can see the two figures that are moving up the mountain, right? They're on a journey, and they're on a journey to reach a higher level of, so you can look at it in a symbolic way, that they're want to achieve something, they're aiming for that top. In many ways, the hero, there's a spiritual aspect, a really strong spiritual aspect to the hero's journey, because they are overcoming something. Often there's the physical aspect, they're overcoming some physical obstacle, and also often when you look at a deeper level, there's a spiritual obstacle. They are reaching and going beyond and rising to the top, right? And the hero's journey is not an easy journey, because it requires us to make, in many ways, and in some ways you could look at it as challenges. It comes with a cost, but to reach that level of heroism within our own, or heroism, I'm not really sure if that's how you pronounce it, relate to the, if you think about the hero or the heroine, she or he is, they're going to push themselves, they're going to take themselves to a whole new level. And that means that they often have to let go of or become less attached to other things, because the hero, as I said, the hero's journey is not an easy one. Now I'm going to just cover some of the basics. And if we look at Caroline's description, and there's a reason why I'm going to just some of the wording that she's used, and we're going to look at it more deeply and how it represents you and your business. So if you look at what Caroline talks about, the hero confronts increasingly difficult obstacles. So you face things on. When we're in the hero archetypal traits, and when we're in that energy of the hero, you face the dark. You don't run away from it. You don't hide your head in the sand. You don't want to. You face things on it. You're not in denial. You are willing to face things that maybe other people want to run away from, right? And you're confronting these increasingly difficult obstacles to awaken an inner spiritual power and achieve a heroic vision that ultimately serves the tribe. So on the hero's journey, we all can have a journey that requires us as an individual to go through extreme challenges or to overcome obstacles, particularly when those obstacles are have a darker element to it, things that are maybe what we would class as maybe not fair or wrong or whatever. And I'm just trying to explain, and I know that the polarity thing when we're trying to overcome the hero, there's different layers to that. But what I mean is when there's an unfair justice or whatever, and someone is trying to rise above that and move through, if they have through extreme difficult challenges in their life, unfair circumstances, maybe where they've been a victim and they're trying to move through being the victim to the hero, right? And that can come in all sorts of shapes and disguises. A lot of people that come into the healing and spiritual industry, it's can be health challenges that they have faced or other people, or mental, emotional, spiritual, in all different ways. Disempowerment, all sorts of things, low self-esteem, low self-worth. And the part of the reason that they're doing the work is they have overcame something. They have arisen and they have pushed through that challenge. And they're an example, right? And when you're running, for example, a holistic or a spiritual business, and maybe, for example, you're a coach, you're a therapist, and if you think about a coach, if you're a coach in a special area, your clients are expecting you to have attained a certain level of expertise or knowledge or something in that area. And often it comes with the depth of, there's an expectation that you have overcome something. So you have went on the hero's journey in that area. So, for example, one of the areas that I specialised in was stress management. I had a lot of health challenges. I faced a lot of uncertainty, but also discrimination and lots of other things that come with that, which required me to stand up for myself and to become as mentally resilient to the challenges and to some of the circumstances that I had to deal with, right? So I studied stress management for many years, and then I would eventually become a coach once I had got a certain level of experience and knowledge in that area. And that is an example where someone use their circumstances and their life's challenges and does something that has been a huge benefit and has been part of the solution. It's been, in many ways, the tools and the techniques were what helped the hero aspect within me, or the traits within that helped me endure and come, and reach that peak, was because of that, right? Now, in a spiritual business, and many times it's about hope. There is some businesses that are more about hope than others, because we all have, each business has a different energy. Each business has, certain really strong core values and what we'll call archetypal traits, because of what they represent and the client that they represent, the solution that they represent. But the reality is, when you are selling a solution, when you are helping someone, you are giving them hope, and often a lot more. And depending on what you are actually giving, right, there is different sort of, it's the easiest way to say it, the only way I can explain it is when I'm working with clients, I often see, feel and sense their energy, and even the energy of the solution of what they're offering. And everyone's energy is different, and everyone's business energy is different. And you could have three businesses, different three sides of your business, and each of them have a different essence, right? But the reality is, if we look at what's going on right now in the collective, there has been a huge aspect of disempowerment. Now, in many ways, there's been disempowerment for centuries, and for lots of things, there's this kind of servant-slave mentality, and people don't even realize it because they're kind of stuck in this matrix of where there's us and them, and there's different levels to society where almost, because if you look at, we just have to look at the difference in poverty levels in different countries, and the different in poverty or income, or even, how could you say, quality of life in individuals is very different, right? And we can look at the imbalance of society. Now, I'm not saying any of this is always straightforward, because sometimes there's lots of factors. But when we look at the general culture of the everyday man, we can see that there's threads of a lot of disempowerment in our conditioning, in our beliefs, in the way that we're taught, in the way that we act, and that has never been as paramount and obvious over the last 3 or 4 years, when we've seen certain things happen, and almost, in many ways, people take orders and act like the servant and slave to other people. Often to, I don't mean having authority, but not having always the right wisdom, not doing it really for the greater good, because it turns out, that there's other agendas there, and there's other things going on. What we see is also, when people are in a state of stress and anxiety and low self-esteem, low confidence, they've lost their inner hero, or they haven't been able to take themselves through that hero's journey. They've not moved past certain scenarios in their life. Now, if you look at, for example, someone that is a cancer survivor, or someone who has faced life-threatening challenges or very extreme challenges with their health, for example, or someone that has faced a lot of physical abuse, but has almost kind of grown past that, has evolved past that, has moved into the hero. They have been able to move through very extreme, difficult challenges. Now, that doesn't always mean that everything's rosy, but what they have is they have the ability to, what in this card, if you look at the up the mountain, if you look at this mountain, it's a dark mountain, but they want to rise up to the top, to the higher perspective, to the light, right? And if we think about awakening and enlightenment, we want to rise to the top. And when we get to the top, there's a higher spiritual perspective. We see things from a much wider perspective, but we have, we've not just raised ourselves in vibration, we've got to that pinnacle of where we wanted to go. And there's like a sense of freedom when we get there. But there's also a level of wisdom, and often deeper compassion, and actually deeper, like almost there's some aspects of less judgment when you reach to a certain level. So if you think about the hero's journey is about someone going along their life's path and reaching a certain level where they went through lots of real extreme challenges and learn along the way. And along that way, they've had to learn some bitter and really difficult challenges that take them sometimes to, well, maybe the dark night of the soul, or take them nearly to the brink. But guess what? They get to a point and they think they can't do anymore, but they rise above that. And when any of us go on that journey, there's all different things that come with that. We come out the other end with a different level of wisdom, particularly when we have often the real hero's journey has that ability to recognize also things like materialism is not that important. So you have, one of the things that I notice about most of the people that I know that have really went on a spiritual journey, and you look at a lot of people who, and what I mean is being more awakened to the different layers of what's going on, but also have an awakening about it to a certain level of spirituality. They don't have as much attachment to material things. They're not holding on to the material items. It doesn't mean that they don't have or they don't haven't, but it's not as important. They don't have this over attachment, because the spiritual, they have reached, they've got past that. They've got past that attachment, that their spiritual level and their journey has taught them much more. I remember when I was about 19, I was a typical 19-year-old, even though like 18, 19. I was very attracted to, I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was, I started down that route. And I was working for one of the companies, for example, I worked for. They made dresses for a lot of people with a lot of money. And one example was a bride, like a wedding dress for the Duchess of Spain. Right? Or it was somebody like the Duchess. I'm sure it was the Duchess of Spain, or it was another relative to do with that. And when I worked for this company, the people that were behind the scenes were mostly working class, but the actual products were for the elite, right? And I was someone that could make clothes, and I could make clothes that looked very expensive. And I could get things like, I could go to Vogue, and the company even that I worked before that, I remember helping me make a wool jacket that was in Vogue, which was a fortune, and I made it maybe 130 what it would cost to make. And I was going about with what looked like these absolutely designer clothes, but I lived in an area that mostly had the surrounding areas, and a lot of the people, my father had his own business, but many of the people in the area were in extreme poverty. It's a high poverty area. Now, that didn't mean that we were living the high life. That's not what I mean. But, there was me going about as if I was Lady Muck, and I would go about with my head up, and, and then life, I'm not saying shot me down, but at 19, my health began to really crumble, and lots of things would happen, extreme things would happen. And through into my 20s, I had to face a lot of extreme challenges, and one was threatened. There was a possibility that I could lose my eye. I was starting to lose dramatically sight. I could hardly see out my left eye. And I faced, even though a lot of people find that the most shocking, the other health challenges that I had impacted my life. But the biggest challenge for me was actually dealing with people's ignorance, people's abuse, people maybe not believing certain things, not taking a lot of my health challenges seriously. A battle with the medical system. I also was diagnosed from about 21 with ME. Now, anybody knows 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, that was nearly 35 years ago. Anyone had a diagnosis then, it was in many cases, it was, no, it was in your head. Now, I was lucky that some people could see there was something seriously wrong, because I had other things going on. But the part of the hero's journey for me was I was quite a motivated person. I was quite a tenacious person. I came from a very hard-working family, but I was very sensitive. I was very empathic. I was a bit of a pushover in other ways, non-assertive, always put other people first, and had to start standing up for myself, particularly in the medical profession. I had to be a bit of the sage. I had to find strength. And part of that journey, as I said, when I went down, was the stress management, the anxiety management. Now, many of you will all have started going down your tools, techniques, your spiritual journey and starting to go down that spiritual journey through your life challenges. So I want you all to think about right now the key components in your life that helped you start going on that hero's journey. Many is maybe in the middle. We're always constantly in a way going on, because I don't think we've ever completed the hero's journey. I think when we look at the light workers role at the moment is in many ways, I believe, an aspect of being the example, being the hero in our own life, so that we can help others be a hero in their life. But that doesn't mean we've got it all sussed out. You know, there can be certain areas in our life we've got better than others, and I'm still working on that journey. The reality is right now is that people need to feel empowerment. They have to see it. There's many people who are starting to wake up. I know it seems a long time. A lot of us feel as if it's a long time, but there is more and more people waking up every day. And when they wake up, if they don't have the tools that we have, they need hope. They need to know that they can find the strength within them. They can find the resilience, and they can go. It's like they can, I'm trying to find a way, but it's like they can keep going. It's almost like, there is a word here, but it's almost like I'm not getting it. But it's when we go on a path, it can be, I don't know if it's tenacious road. It's something that it can maybe, it's not all, it doesn't happen instantly, right? When we go on the hero's journey, it's not going to be something that you're going to solve in a day or 2 days. It's something that takes tenacity. It takes patience at times, and it takes, sometimes we have little knockbacks, and going along up that mountain, you could have a fall and feel as if you went 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but there's still hope. You can, someone's done it before, so it can be done. It's so important we recognise right now that we have to help our audience, our clients, find that hope. We have to help them see and focus on the higher perspective. It's so easy at the moment when there's so many distractions and there's so much getting on to get focused on the petty things. We all do it. Get focused on the distraction, the decisiveness, who's right, who's wrong, all of this. And that is just, that pulls everybody, it pulls more and more people back down the mountain. We've got to keep rising above the mountain. We have to have focus. The hero archetype, even if you look at it, if you're a business that has a strong hero core values, right, Brandon? The hero keeps going. The hero is about focus. It's his tenacity, it's determination. There's a grittiness about it, an earthiness, also a practical aspect to it. But there's also a deep spiritual aspect to the hero, right? Now, you can look at the hero from a branding perspective. The hero can go with the warrior, right? But it's easy. It's, for example, if I look at the light warrior is representing, and it's like the light warrior's going ahead. I think the way that I look at the light warrior, and that's just, this is my perspective in some way, is that if you think of Joan of Arc and that light going forward, right? But if we look at, not from a fighting perspective, from the light, from love, from being able to fight with light, being able to fight from the higher perspective, bring that in. The light warrior can shine light, help shine light on what is not pure light, but it's not our place to get into completely the judgment. There's a difference, as I suppose, And I know we all do it. I mean, I sometimes share things on Facebook because I'm like, what? But be aware when you're getting dragged down into the gutter with things, because our role right now is to help people see. If you think about the hero, and if you're a hero business and you're a hero brand, you're helping people with solutions to move out of a situation. Now, sometimes hero brands are come in all different disguises. It could be the cancer coach, the person that is helping motivate someone through their cancer to survival, right? And also it might be not just survival in aspect, it's helping them get to a certain level of spiritual contentment, spiritual awakening, spiritual, so that their spirit, no matter what's going to physically happen to them, has reached a certain level, right? If we look at other businesses, a lot of businesses that are maybe like people that are sports coaches, fitness coaches, a lot of them do actually have, because they're helping people push through the barriers of what they thought that they could achieve, right? Push through certain perceived limitations, or help them achieve and attack what they want to achieve, or get past what they thought was possible, right? The person that is helping that person has to have got to a certain level themselves. So this is where, you know, if you're a healer, a coach, or therapist, and you're just waking up to certain things, it's going on, and I mean, on a, you know, waking up to your own spiritual evolution, and that you're so much more powerful you can, but also waking up to what's going on in the collective. You know, it's hard to take your clients on that journey if you can't look at those things, or you can't face things. If you're someone at the moment that is trying to pretend that things are not happening and trying to hide away from things, deny it's there and not face it, that's a shadow element that is in your energy field and is going out. One of the biggest things we're seeing is many people who would be classed as, and this is not me trying to put them down, this is just in many ways a reality. Many people who would call prominent teachers in what we call more the holistic healing and spiritual community, that haven't spoke out, or have done the opposite, done lots of things that you would class more just about making money through certain things over the last few years, rather than being ethical and more spiritually aligned, are now paying for it. The rapidly decrease in their followers, their reputation, people are, you know, feel a strong sense of mistrust, because for years they have gave these people money. These people have, you know, gave a certain, as if they have a certain level of spiritual wisdom and spiritual access and guidance, where the reality doesn't seem as if it matches up. It's like always proof is in the pudding. It's not what you say, it's your actions or inactions, and what you do and what you don't do. The hero is very active, but they're not focused on all the petty things. They're focused on what they're here to do, and they're very focused. They're not focused on getting into a war with who's right, who's wrong, and starting to get pulled into that, right? They're focused on what their mission is, and they're grounded within it. And we all have to try and find that now, because when we can find that energy, that power, there is something very strong, earthing, and powerful about the hero archetype. And no matter what your archetype is in your business, it's important when you are helping other people that you have attained a certain level of achievement of the thing that you're helping someone with, or you can't help them. For many years, a lot of people used to tell me, you know, that my work should be basically helping people. It was used to be, they'd say to me, you should be helping people with ME, you should be helping people with Lyme's, with rare conditions and things like that. And it's not, I'm ruling it out, you know, I have done some work, but it's not been my main area of specialty. And one of the reasons was because I hadn't all of those situations quite solved. I was courageous in the respect that I kept going, and I still was able to demonstrate to people that I could still have a life of purpose, right? And I also was an example how we are all wounded. None of us are, when people talk about being fully healed, there is not one person that's fully healed, because we all have different shadow elements within energetically. It's just some of us it's more obvious than others, right? But what I mean is that I knew in my heart that wasn't my journey was far more than all of those things. There was a lot more to it, but my purpose was not that. And some people would say to me, Eileen, you're a complete champ. Oh my God, what you've went through, and you're still mentally strong. Of course, that was the aspect, was the ability to demonstrate and support people in their mental resilience, right? You know what you have, but you also know what areas you need to work in, and that's okay. And that's what it's all about. But it's so important, you know, for example, if you go to a teacher, I know me, if I want to go to a teacher and learn something, I want to know that they have a lot of experience in that area, you know, that maybe had lots and lots of clients and they've been doing it for very years, you know, and they've got enough depth of knowledge. And it's the same with the hero. They want to see some practical evidence, but the difference things about the hero is it's not just to do with how much or how many people you have. It's a whole different energy. The hero archetype is personal strength. It's people can feel it, people know it, people can see it, because it comes from integrity. It comes, and this is so important at the moment, it comes from your inner strength and your tenacity. And the hero archetype helps us see that Rome wasn't built in a day. And it's the hero's journey. It's almost like you're there for the long haul. You know that you know, we're seeing these things nowadays in the spiritual community about, it's like this, everybody's focusing on the 10K months and this instant gratification thing, and this helping people, you know, achieve things so quickly, and it's lost its way in some way. Because when we can help people at deep level, when we can help people be more tenacious in their life, to have such spiritual strength and power, and understand that they have it already, it's there. Sometimes they just need help to access it, or they need help with some blocks. When we can find out within ourselves and know it's there, and understand that we do have the tools and we have the spiritual power to achieve this for the long haul, not just expecting everything to be solved overnight. When you can come to that level of awareness, that's part of the hero's journey, because you know that the hero's journey was not something that just happened overnight. It was not, you know, it was not just a one incident thing, it's a journey. I believe part of the biggest aspect of the true hero's journey is that deep spiritual connection, that deep soul connection, that soul, and really working at that. And one of the things that I'm going to just share with you is that, and this is something I don't really usually talk about in other things, but I'm just going to share it with it. One of the biggest things that I see with many people, where they're so disconnected from their intuition, who've not been aware of what's been going on, or been late to the game, or made I'm not saying big errors, but realise later on, maybe I've made a big boop up here. I believe that their connection, their soul connection and their soul power it's almost like connecting into something else. They don't realise that, but they're not connecting into their own power and soul connection. Something along the line they've got is interfering, right? In the hero's journey, they rise, the soul is strong, because the soul is able to access the pure aspect of, I suppose you could look at the hero as the light, and they're able to access that light, that strength. And when we're able to access the light, the strength, there's nothing stops us. There is nothing that stops us, because we can step in the light. When we can be fueled with that light, we can make such a powerful difference. And every single one of you that watch this have the ability and have the mission to be that light and help others see the light within themselves. And the more that we can do that in our business right now, and the more that we can help step into our own courage, our own tenacity, our own hero, your audience is going to really, really feel that. Now, if you're someone, example, who's struggling in this area where your soul connection and struggling, check out over at the stresscoachtraining.co. That is the other side of my business. And I have a course on meditation and soul connection. And it really helps you build up a deeper connection with your soul, which really helps build your soul power. Okay. If you want to learn more about archetypes and take things to a brand new level, check in the information before, and there's going to be a lot more about archetypes and this type of stuff over on actually my eileenburns.co.uk website. Now, that's a site that, I have to be honest, for many years was kind of neglected, because it was just some work that I used to do before, but it's something that there's going to be a lot of changes to that, so watch this space. But remember, tap into your own hero, tap into your own light, and be that example, because that's what's going to make the most powerful difference right now in the collective and in your own business, because people do not want what they call, one of my spiritual teachers, or my healing teachers, says they don't want weak and flaky healers or weak and flaky teachers. We need teachers, coaches, therapists, healers with a spiritual backbone. Okay. Bye-bye for now.